I did a video on the machines you should not be using in the gym, but what about the machines you should be using in the gym? In today's video, we are going to discuss just that. But before I go in there, make sure you guys like and subscribe so that you keep getting more content just like this. And make sure to stay until the end where I talk about the machines that didn't quite make the cut for best machine in the gym. The first machine is, of course, I'm going to give you guys the chest press first. First, let's talk about why I like this machine. First thing is that you can adjust where the handles are at. So you can put it either more forward or backwards, depending on how good of shoulders you have. So if you have pretty good shoulders, you can get this far back and get a much better stretch. However, if you don't have good shoulders, you can just bring it up forward a little bit and still do a lot of progressive overload with it. Another reason that I like this machine is because of the end range of motion. So as you can see, it starts out wide, and a lot of chest press machines, they start out wide and they keep going wide. But watch this one, it kind of goes in at an angle. So what you'll see is, maybe you're not able to see that, but you can see that the handles right here get closer together. So it starts wide and then it goes closer. I'm going to show you guys at a different angle. Give me just a second. You can really see my chest flex from this one, going further out and bringing it closer in, compared to, like I said, the ones that go in that same range of motion, you still can work your chest, but this one really focuses on the squeeze, coming in further in like that compared to staying outward. This is one of my most favorite machines that you really should take advantage of if the Smith machines are shaking up to do bench press. Let's move on to the next one. The next machine that we have is this one. This is your hamstring seated curl. So generally there's two types of hamstring curl machines that you'll see. You'll see this one and then you'll see the lying one, which I've talked about in another video. The reason that this one is superior is because there's no room for compensation. So how it works is, I cut it at a normal range of motion. You want your knees lined up with the pivot point like that, and you want this locked down like that. It's right above my knees, and I'm going to bring it down. So unlike the one where you're laying face down, you really can't force yourself to move this one. Unlike the other one where you can kind of muscle it a little bit, but this one, if it's too heavy for you, it's not gonna go anywhere. So this really forces you to really just focus on your hamstrings, which is why this is the killer machine to use. If you only had to choose one, I would choose this one over the laying down one. All right, let's move on to the next one. This is another fan favorite that a lot of people really like. The reason this is such a good machine that I don't think a lot of people understand is that this is really good for the glute medius and for your hip abductors. When a lot of people are really tight in their hip abductors and their glute area because of just everyday life. So this really working on strengthening your hip abductions is really going to open up your hips and help you feel a little bit more mobile compared to if you weren't training them. So again, how this one works is I'm going to start off close and come out. A very typical kind of side effect of this machine that a lot of people feel if they're tight in this area is they're going to feel pinching. So what you can do instead is you can do kind of a standing up hip abduction with bands. If you guys are interested, I can make a video on that, kind of showing you how to do a hip abduction standing in case this does pinch you. This is a great machine to use to really open up and strengthen your hips. What you can do too, and this is becoming kind of popular, is really focus on leaning forward so you get that stretch in the top of your glutes and really can work on focusing on strengthening that part of the hip abduction. So really easy, really simple to use. Let's move on to the next one. This is my next favorite machine. This is the first back machine that we have on the list. The reason that I would prefer this one over like a cable row using the close grip is because of this pad right here that it has. And what that does is that enables you to really force yourself to lift a lot heavier compared to balancing yourself, not balancing yourself, but using your core a little bit more, the cable row. So with the machine, what you can do is you can really press your body into this machine and pull back, and really helps build that scapular retraction and pinching your shoulder blades. What a lot of people do when they're using the cable row is, hey, I'll bring this closer. When they're doing that, especially if they have weak, rhomboids, middle trapdoor, is they kind of shrug up, have a hard time really focusing on bringing their shoulder blades back. With this one, being able to press your whole body into the chest pad right here, you can really focus on pressing in and bringing these shoulder blades back like that, instead of coming up and doing that. This is really an A tier. You can't really mess this one up. That's why I really like using this machine. So if the cable rows are taken, definitely take advantage of this machine right here. Let's move on to the next one. This is our first ab machine that I want to talk about. The reason that I like this one so much is very common when you're doing ab exercises to kind of bring your head forward when you're doing crunches and things like that. And you get a lot of complaints, you start to feel it more in your neck compared to actually feeling it in your abdominal. So what this machine does is, instead of putting all the pressure on your neck, it's everything in front. But the key is how you use it. If you use it right, you really can feel it in your abdominals. So what you want to do is, a lot of people, they'll push it and they'll use this. But it doesn't put the abs in there. So what we want to do is, we want to make sure our elbows are locked when we use this machine. And then we want to keep it, push it forward, all the way forward. And then you want to come all the way back like that. And that you really start to feel this in your abs, especially if you keep your elbows locked and go through the full range of motion instead of just coming forward and doing that partial range of motions. You may still feel it in your abs, but it's a lot better if you come back as far as you can and move all the way forward. That's what this pad behind here is for, so that you can come all the way back like that. So let's do another ab machine. I'll show you guys. So I was talking about how a lot of these ab machines, kind of force you to pull your head and bring your head forward. This is kind of second best out of the two. The first one we talked about, it ends in front of you. This one, it's a little bit behind you, but it doesn't push on your neck as much as some of the other ones. So you can really come forward and come back like that. You just want to make sure that you keep your head up and you don't bring it forward like that, because then if you do that, you start to feel pain in your neck. And of course, we don't want that. We want to work on our abs. All right, let's move on. Let's do another back load. Let's do another back machine to show you guys. The next back machine that is really good to use is this one, the assisted pull-up machine. A lot of people play on this machine because they say you should be able to just really do a pull-up without any help. But I disagree. I think this one is really good if you're trying to progress to be able to do a pull-up on your own, because you can decrease the weight the better you get at it. Plus, this is a great alternative for the lat pull down as well. The key thing that you want to be able to make sure that you do is, a lot of people, when they're close to failure, they start to use their forearms a little bit more. I'm going to show you guys from this angle how you should do it, and then I'm going to kind of go more to the side and show you what you should and shouldn't be doing. So what I mean by, you want to make sure that when you come up, your elbows still kind of flare out a little bit. All right. What a lot of people do is they come up like that, and they're using more of their forearms instead of using their back. And then they'll start to say that they feel it more in their forearms instead of their lats, which is obviously something you don't want to see. So show you from this angle, I'm going to show you from the other angle. I have it kind of high, but I really want you guys to see what I'm talking about. So when you come up and you do a pull-up, you want it to be like this. And a lot of times when you're starting to fail, when you're getting close to that breaking point, when you're getting close to failure, people start to come up and they come like that instead of out like that. When they start to do this, they really start to feel it more in their forearms. And that's what I'm getting at, that what you don't want to feel when you're doing this particular exercise. Other than that though, this is a really good machine to use, especially if you're progressing trying to do pull-ups. Let's move on to our last machine. If you guys have been watching any of my videos, you should know that this is going to have to be in this video. I made a whole video on why I like this machine, so if you want to check that video out, go ahead. But pretty much, this is a really awesome machine to do legs, back. You can do Romanian deadlifts. You can do kind of trap bar deadlifts, just bending your knees a little bit more. You can do rows. You can do Bulgarian split squats. This is a really versatile machine that I definitely recommend in any back or leg day suit. All right, so with this last one, let's talk about the ones that didn't make the cut. Those were the best machines that you should add to your exercise routine in Planet Fitness. Let's talk about some of the ones that didn't quite make the cut. The first one being the pec deck. There was only one chest machine that was considered the best because there's only so many movements you can do doing a chest press. The pec deck is a more isolation exercise. This one didn't quite make the cut because it is on that fixed motion because it is a machine. And it really is just better to do a cable fly instead of the pec deck. But of course, if the cable flies aren't available, the pec deck is perfectly fine. The next machine are the tricep dips. These ones, honestly, it's just a preference. Sometimes it feels really comfortable for people, sometimes it doesn't. You really don't have a choice kind of on where you can move the machine. It's just kind of there, unlike the chest press machine where you can kind of move where the handles are, move where the seat is. So that's really the only reason it didn't make the cut. The next machine is the machine preacher curl. This one didn't make the cut because you are susceptible to injury compared to a lot of the other bicep machines, mainly the seated bicep machine. Of course, you are susceptible to injury doing any sort of exercise in the gym, but this one, a lot of people tend to go heavy and they can end up tearing their bicep tendons going through that full range of motion. So that's why I didn't make the cut. But what are you guys' thoughts on this? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video.